Hi, Calaveras County, Morgan Gotche here with the Calaveras Chamber of Commerce. And it's an honor and a privilege to be able to sit here with Al Alt, who is our Calaveras County CAO, our Chief Administrative Officer. Al, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. We've got a great venue and it's wonderful to talk with you as always.
We do, and I have to just point out for a moment, in case you have not been here before, we are in downtown San Andreas on Main Street at the archives, the county archives here. And if you have not been, this is such a neat place filled with so much history. And so it feels neat. Al has read every single article that's here, so you can hold him accountable to that. And he'll be able to verbatim tell you every fact about Calaveras County.
Straight from memory.
Straight from memory. Well, we've been chatting here for the past 10 minutes and learning so much, but really wanted to share this with the community because, Al, I'd love for you to tell and kind of explain your role in government, because if someone's not really familiar with the way county government works, they may not be familiar with your position. And you are a leader in our county, so explain your role.
Well, probably the easiest way to describe it to people who aren't very intimately involved in local government is that we all know that the Board of Supervisors is our legislative body. So when they take action, they're setting legislation that obviously governs how we run our county, but they also set directives for how they want that implemented. And it's my job as the employee to the board to carry out the implementation of their policy directives. So really, it's my role, along with the department heads, to operationalize what the board's policy wishes are.
So is it comparable to say, if you were looking at it from a business perspective, you're the CEO and you have your department heads, it's kind of a crossover. You have your board of supervisors and you have your board that you would have for a normal private business as well?
There are some parallels. There are some definite uniqueness about a county that's even different than a city manager type of role as well. The county does have appointed department heads like many cities would have, but in our case we also have many elected department heads as well. And elected department heads are really in particular roles where there's necessary checks and balances. And we have fantastic elected department heads, but that's really unique. You wouldn't see that in private industry, and you don't see that in city management either.
Free understanding your civic duties here lesson today on this show. So what I'd like to ask you is like other counties, like the rest of our country right now, COVID-19 really has impacted greatly our business community. And I'd love to hear from you as our county CAO. What is it that you feel like businesses should be doing in the moment, and how can we learn from this experience to move forward?
Well, the first thing I would say is that we, and I'll use the we with the Board of Supervisors, me, the department heads, all of us in county government recognize this is an incredibly difficult time for our small businesses. There's no winning answer for them. We've talked in board meetings about small business owners. We really recognize that they're having to make a choice in some cases between their livelihood and something that they've worked their whole lives to keep and have, and following state guidances. And we know that's a difficult spot for them to be in. And oftentimes we're having to discuss things around regulation and enforcement. And we do that as a regular thing for the Board of Supervisors and the department heads and I. And occasionally we might not sound as if we're as sensitive as we could be to the horrible situation that our business owners are in. We really feel for them. And so the first thing I want to do is have them understand that we recognize it's a difficult situation. Beyond that, though, to answer your question specifically, about the best we can hope for right now is really a focus on being resilient and flexible. None of us have a roadmap for this. We've never been here before. No county is rolling out their approach in uniform ways. So typically what you and I would want to do and what our business owners would do is rely on past experience, best practices. We'd do our research and we'd roll out a plan based on things we could evidence are going to work. And we can do that in the medical side of the COVID response, but it's such a tremendous emotional and political issue now that aside from the medical approach, there's no best practice, there's no roadmap we can roll out. And that causes a lot of us grief, frankly, and trying to do the right thing. I don't know anybody in county government or your position or any of the business owners that I've talked to that aren't losing sleep since about March 19th.
I think it's important to highlight here because I'm so grateful on behalf of the chamber that we have partnerships with the county, and so I'm probably privy to understanding a lot more of the constant meetings and emergency services that you guys have running since day one of COVID-19. And this is all the way from emergency services, fire department, hospital. You meet with groups like this daily almost, right? I mean, since day one, you guys have had tons of meetings and collaborative working together. Who are some of the partners in the county that you've been working with or externally?
Well, I'll start internally. Obviously, public health, Kristen and Dr. Coletta have been at the tip of the spear since this started, and they are incredible champions for our county, and they're in such a tough spot. We hear a lot of negativity about them, but I'm honored to work with them both and impressed by what they bring to the table. So they're one of our internal partners. They're one of our main partners. County Council, Sarah Edwards and her team have been magnificent. We work very closely with them. As we know, as we're trying to roll out, whether it's a resolution or an ordinance, any sort of legislation, it has to be vetted very well through legal counsel, and they put a lot of time in that. Emergency services for us has been front and center. Kathy Galino in economic development, and you and our gentleman behind the camera as well from the Calaveras Visitors Bureau. You all have been magnificent partners in trying to help us roll out resiliency pieces. I know I'm forgetting some internally. All of our folks are ready to come to the table when we need them. All of our land use departments helped roll out a resolution for I've kind of coined that outdoor dining resolution, but it's really more like outdoor business, outdoor retail. The board asked us for that, and our land use departments with council rolled that out in a week. It's probably not best to roll out legislation in a week, but it was really important, and so all of our land use departments came together and worked hard on that. The city has been a great partner for us. We work very closely. It's been one of my goals when I came in to make sure we had a real tight relationship there, and we do, as evidenced by the joint meetings that we've been having. So that's a taste of who our critical partners are. But what I'll say is what's really evolving in the county, and I won't take credit for it, but it's been one of my goals, but many of our county leaders in different, whether it's CCWD, the city, the hospital, the fire departments, we all have taken the approach that when something happens, we all drop everything we do and we come to the center of the problem, and then we figure it out from there and whose agency is responsible for it, and we help. And I've been amazed by that, and our community members don't always get to see how unified we are in our emergency response, because oftentimes it's behind the scenes. So been very impressed and frankly honored to work with the people that we have in this county. It's amazing for a resource challenged county to have the people that we do here serving our public.
It's true. It's true. I feel that in the private sector too. Anything that gets done is because we're partnered and linking arms. So what is your vision for growth of our county? And I know that you are under the directives of the Board of Supervisors, but what do you really see as growth and prosperity moving forward for our county?
Well, I probably would have had a more canned answer for you about a year ago. And I really want to focus on premier customer service and us serving the citizens in the way that they deserve it, and not being over governmentalized, over red tape. I want us to be able to serve our public based on performance metrics and be data driven on how we make our decisions, so that our services become more efficient, that we're counted on in the county to get work done for our public, as opposed to what I often hear the complaints when I interact with people is, I went to the county and can't get XYZ, insert here, or I called the county and I can't get somebody to answer the phone, or I went to the county and I got sent around to all these different departments and never got the answer. That's not unique to us, but I think because of the quality of people that we have, and the interest in serving our public, that we can back out some of the governmentalization that we have and serve our public a little better. So that's kind of an internal goal. Externally, or I would say kind of managing up, I really encourage the board for us to do more on the strategic side of things, and knowing what the board's high-level goals are for the county, what they want us to look like in 5, 10, and 15 years, and then me being responsible for bringing operational plans forward to prove to them that we're meeting the goals that they have set. And then probably just over the last year and all the emergencies we've gone through the PSPSs and COVID and you name it, you've been here through them, as trying to find a unifying message for us. And I lived here in 2015 when we all experienced the Butte Fire. At the time, probably the most catastrophic and tragic event that our county has ever experienced, but we all unified. We helped each other. It brought our county together. It made us stronger. We still have scars, and there's still people that are reeling from that, but it was unifying. And what I'm observing about COVID is exactly the opposite, that this experience we're having now it's divisive. The opposite ends of the spectrum are further apart than what I've observed in the 7 or 8 years I've lived in the county. And so really probably an aspirational goal moving forward is trying to find something that we can unify around and bring us back together, and start focusing on how we're going to walk together out of what we're having to deal with now.
That's powerful.
It's a little scary.
It's scary.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Well, what message would you like to say on behalf of Alt in your role as CAO to not just the business community, because we have others, we have your residents of Calaveras County here. What message would you like to communicate?
I think I probably the strongest message was what I just talked about in us trying to unify and try to find a path forward. I know it's difficult. I know it's emotional. None of us know where this is going, but I guess what I'll call what I say my junior varsity psychoanalysis of this is that we know how to handle most things, most emergencies. We know how to handle recessions. None of us like the emergencies and the recessions, but we've been through them all before. We're in a place now that's completely ambiguous to us. And so learning to be flexible, learning to walk the path together rather than trying to find cathartic moments by yelling at each other and being divisive. That's probably my biggest message. We need to find a way to come together. That includes the government. We need to work hard for our people to try and find solutions that work. We need not be paralyzed by trying to move forward. We need to be willing to be flexible and try different things. And if they don't work, then pivot to the next thing. And that's not something that government's typically good at. And it's time for us to be a little bit, in your world, a little bit more entrepreneurial.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing with us and really the county and giving us a little glimpse from your bird's eye view as the CAO of our county.
My pleasure, Morgan. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.